Hello and welcome back to another Hearthstone discussion video. My name's Lumin and right now we're talking about the Hearthstone Innkeeper's Invitational. So, before I get started, I will mention that I'm reading from and using a couple of blog posts and the schedule of events for BlizzCon 2013 as resources. So if you want to check these out for yourselves, you can find them linked below. And you'll also find all the information that I'm mentioning in this video there too. It's useful because there's more there than what I'm going to be talking about here. So do it. If you enjoy Hearthstone, if you enjoy the game itself, watching my videos, whatever, if you plan on actually watching the Hearthstone Innkeeper's Invitational when it happens live, then it would be nice to know a little bit more about the players, how it's going to work, and all that other good stuff. So check it out. Now, let's start with how the tournament itself is structured, how it's going to work, and when it's happening. Now, it will start on Saturday first thing. So when the doors open, there's about an hour or so for everyone to mill around and do what they want to do, get to where they want to go. Then this will start and run for 3 hours in the B Hall, which is the WoW and Hearthstone Hall. 3 hours time for 8 players to finish the entire tournament. I want to say that if the games go on a little bit long, and if they get a lot of games in this best of 5 that end up going 2-2, and then someone only wins it, they might run out of time, but it's unlikely. 3 hours gives you pretty much an hour for each of the quarterfinals, the semifinals, and the finals to be played each, which I would say is enough. So they should be able to fit it all in, but they won't be able to stream each and every game live, which is kind of sad, but it's going to be, as I just mentioned inadvertently, best of 5, and each of the players was asked to bring 3 different decks with 3 different classes to the tournament itself. Now, what happens is that when they play and they lose a game, that deck that they lost with gets knocked out, then they have to use one of the other 2. Then if they lose with that, it gets knocked out. Same thing, have to use the last one. That gets knocked out, they lose. It's a very cool way of setting it up because it allows us as viewers much more enjoyment, and it would be really cool if like one player sticks with one deck all the way through and just crushes everyone with it, then you don't even get to see his others and he pulls them out as like trump cards at the end or something like that. That would be really cool to see. It just allows for a lot of mystery as well, so that's great. Now, the players involved are Day 9, Rickful, Hafu, Kripparrian, Trump, Husky, Noxious, and Artosis. Some pretty big names there. Some slightly lesser known players as well, but some pretty big names. Now I will just reiterate what many people have said time and time again since this was announced. These are not the best Hearthstone players in the world. Some of them perhaps, yes, but all of them are not the best possible players out there. These are just passionate fans of the game. People that could potentially put on a good show. Whatever. They didn't go and look for the highest skilled players. This tournament is more for fun than anything else. So I guess that was what they used. That was their reasoning behind inviting these people. The winner gets called Grandmaster of the Hearth, which is absolutely amazing. If someone puts that in their stream title on Twitch TV and it's actually legit, you're going to watch that person. Tell you right now, you're going to watch that person a whole lot. So those are the players involved, and best of 5 matches. They start with Day 9 versus Rickful, Hafu versus Kripparrian, Trump versus Husky, and Noxious versus Artosis. Now, before I talk about predictions or anything like that, I can tell you a little bit about each of the players, what they played before, and I suppose how good I think they are at the game. I don't know, because a lot of these players have been playing a whole lot in secret, so I can't tell you. But starting with Day 9, because he's right at the top, he comes from a StarCraft background. Everyone knows Day 9. He's a StarCraft guru. He does the Day 9 daily, and he also plays a whole lot of professional level Magic the Gathering. So this guy knows his card games. He was, the last time I saw him play Hearthstone, pretty decent at the game. He has probably the best big match temperament of the lot of these guys. So when it comes to being stressed out of the tournament, he's not one that's going to buckle because of that. He'll be able to handle it quite well. So because of that, I actually favor him quite highly for the tournament. But then again, Rekful is the person in the same bracket as him. Rekful is a World of Warcraft player, also professional level, really, really good. I haven't seen him play much Hearthstone. I haven't tuned into his stream or anything like that. And I think he's doing a lot of his practice in secret. So you're not going to see exactly what's going on with what he's doing. But he's probably the one player on this list that I know the least about. Him and Noxious maybe. But he's a World of Warcraft player. He seems like he's pretty good. I think he did really well in the first big tournament that was streamed and stuff. I think Athene was involved with it at some point as well. He did reasonably well in that. And I don't know. He could be one of those wild cards that, because I know nothing about, he could just dominate everyone and do really well. But I'm sure some of you know a little bit about Rekful. So if you do, let me know. Hafu, next person. She's a girl. She's the only girl in this set of 8 players. She is also a professional World of Warcraft player, and her stream is mostly entertainment. I don't think she's great at the game. I think she's pretty good. Don't get me wrong, but I don't think she is as good as some of the other players here. I would not favor her that highly to win, but I do once again think she's very entertaining on her stream. And she might think up some pretty interesting decks. Could be fun to watch. Kripparrian is next. He is hardcore. This guy's extremely hardcore. He's been practicing a lot. I think at the moment he's mostly playing Path of Exile on his stream, but he's practicing a lot for Hearthstone. He has played a lot of Hearthstone. He streamed it for countless hours every day. Well, I can probably count the hours, but many hours every day. And he's one of my favorites to do really well in this tournament. The dude just has a mind for this kind of thing. He comes from a all Blizzard background. He's played all the Blizzard games. And he played World of Warcraft extremely well, competitively. He plays everything he plays competitively. He's got a very competitive nature. So that said, I think he's going to try the hardest of all these players to do well. But at the same time, care the least about doing well, because that's just how he seems to be. Super entertaining guy. One of my favorite people to watch when he streams. I watch his videos a lot. Great. Absolutely great. Very into Hearthstone. So I also kind of strongly favor him. Next person is Trump, probably the crowd favorite, and I would say with good reason. He's the first professional Hearthstone player in that he's actually sponsored by Razer to play this game professionally. He streams Hearthstone pretty much all day long, every day. He's been practicing the most out of all the players, and he seems to have a really good grasp of everything that's going on in the game. Now, I do think he is better at arena play than constructed play, but at the same time he's still really, really good at constructed play. He would be. He's playing the game so much. And because he's played so much arena, he's probably had countless ideas for great combinations in constructed play, and somehow he just seems to make a whole bunch of really good constructed decks that just work, that you don't expect would work. He makes them, and they do work. So I guess I'll get back to the predictions in a bit, but he is again one of the big favorites. Then we have Husky, H to the Husky, Husky of StarCraft fame, and Trump is actually, which I didn't mention, also from a StarCraft background. I think he probably played Magic the Gathering and all that stuff as well, but he's actually known as Trump SC. So I think he was into StarCraft shoutcasting and stuff like that before. He wasn't really well known before Hearthstone came out. Not really well known. He was kind of well known, but now his popularity has just exploded. But then we've got Husky. Obviously everyone knows Husky, StarCraft fanatic. He casts StarCraft like no one else out there, but I don't think he is a huge contender here in the Hearthstone tournament. He will probably go into this to have fun, to just enjoy the experience, and he will probably also make decks that show that attitude off. Murlocs, pirates, stuff like that. And honestly, I think that's amazing. I don't like the fact that he's against Trump in the first round, but because he's probably going to get knocked out. But I love that there's at least a player in there that doesn't care too much about any of it, that's just there for the fun factor. That is truly one of the passionate players. So there's Husky. Next is Noxious. I don't know anything about Noxious, what he did before, but I do know he was very involved with Hearthstone before it launched. He played a lot of Cockatrice tournaments. He played, I suppose a lot of other card games to prepare for it. He might also have a Magic the Gathering background. I don't know. I know very little about the guy. I just know that he was around for quite a while before, posting on the forum, stuff like that. He was just very involved with the community. And once the beta launched, he got in straight away through Blizzard, and he's been playing the whole time ever since. Not so much more involvement on the forums and stuff like that, but now he's streaming all the time. He uploads videos to his YouTube channel, etc. At the moment, I think he exclusively plays Hearthstone, and if I'm not mistaken, he's kinda good. I don't know how good compared to some of the other people out there, because we can't really make accurate predictions without knowing how much each of these players is practicing in their downtime, in the time that they've got to themselves when they're not streaming or whatever. But as far as I can tell, he is pretty good at the game, and the last person here, Artosis, he might actually beat Artosis. But Artosis, because we're moving on to him now, is an incredibly smart guy. Super analytical StarCraft commentator. He did the GSL, which is now the WCS. He usually works with Tasteless, so I assume Tasteless is going to be around at some point. But he's a really, really, really smart guy who knows a whole lot about StarCraft and StarCraft theory. And I think because of that, because of the way his mind works, he's probably just straight up good at this game. I think he's been practicing a lot. I know he does a couple of podcasts for Hearthstone, same as Noxious, Trump, Kripparrian. They also do podcasts. Trump and Kripparrian together, they do the Value Town podcast. But I do think that Artosis, who does the Turn 2 podcast, is also one of those kind of wild cards where he could come up with something super amazing and then, you know, get those sick wins against these players. But that's it. He's also from a StarCraft background, very much so. And now I think, let's talk predictions. If you want to know more about the players, there are these spotlight posts where you can read their real names, how they got into Hearthstone, what their battle cries are, their top 5 arena picks, what they'd like if Blizzard had to make a card fashioned after them, what they'd like that card to be, which players they're scared of. That's kind of interesting to read. Their favorite part of Hearthstone, and a couple of other things. Well worth checking out because you get to know the players a little bit. Trump seems to have given the most in-depth and thorough interview here. A whole lot of information there that you can check out. Oh, actually more so Kripparrian. Kripparrian's is even more thorough. But check those out if you want to know more about the players, because there's a lot of information there. Now, however, I'm going to just mention again who we have and who they're playing against. Day 9 is playing against Rekful in the top of the brackets there. Hafu against Kripparrian, Trump against Husky, and Noxious against Artosis. So I'm going to make predictions. I'm not going to give scores here. In some of them I could give scores, and some of these are going to be hopeful predictions because I do have some favorites amongst these guys, just because I like them as people. Not favorites because they're really good Hearthstone players, but favorites because I've been following them for a long time in what they've been doing, and I'd like to see them do well. So I've got some favoritism thrown in the mix as well, and a bit of hope popped in there too. But in the first set, I think we're going to see Day 9 take Rekful out, move on to the semi-finals, and I think he's going to do it in a reasonably decent fashion. I think he's going to win 3. Rekful will only take 1 game off him. So that's going to happen. He's going to move on. Then in the second set, Kripparrian will definitely beat Hafu. Sadly, I think he's going to beat her 3 games to none. And he will move on to play against Day 9. These are, once again, as I said, hopeful predictions. In the third set, Trump versus Husky. Trump will win. Husky will have a great time, but Trump will win. And I do think that Husky might take a game off Trump and shock everyone out there. But the reason for that is because he's going to use a deck that Trump is maybe not going to expect, like Murlocs. But then again, everyone is going to expect Murlocs from Husky. But I just do think that Husky might pull something spectacular off and actually win 1 game. But Trump will go through there to the next bracket, to the semi-finals. Then in the last one, Noxious versus Artosis. This is going to be the closest match of the quarterfinals by far, because I think both these guys are really good. They both have a mind for the game. Noxious plays more, practices more, but Artosis, I think, is just more suited to this kind of game in general because of his extensive strategy-based background. So they've each got that strength on their side. It's going to be very close. It really is. And again, I'm going for the hopeful prediction here. I think Artosis will win against Noxious with a score of 3-2 and move on through. Just win. But that is the one that I'm not sure about. And these are just predictions. I'm guessing what's going to happen. So then we're going to have Day 9 and Kripparrian and Trump and Artosis. And then I think Kripparrian will beat Day 9. But again, my hopeful prediction would be that Day 9 would go through. But I do think that Kripparrian is going to... He's just going to be better suited to it because of the amount of practice, the amount of hours he's put into Hearthstone, and because he is as hardcore as he is. I just think he'll do it. I think he's going to push through there to the grand finals. But I will tell you one thing when I'm done with my predictions. The one wild card that I've got, we'll get to that though. The bottom bracket in the semifinals is going to be then, based on my predictions, Trump and Artosis. I think Trump will win there. And I think Trump's going to do it convincingly, like a 3-0, maybe a 3-1. And that'll move him along into the grand finals against Kripparrian, which I think everyone probably predicted and expected. And in the grand finals, it could be anyone's game. But I will say that just because Kripparrian doesn't care, that he's going to win it. That's the only reason I'd say he's going to win it, because he's not going to be as stressed out about it. He's probably just going to sit there and be like, whatever. And then I think he will take it. And that's probably where my predictions would deviate from everyone else's. If I had to say what everyone else would predict, I'd say that other people would say Noxious would go through, play against Trump, lose against Trump, go to the finals. Other people would say that Rek'Vul would beat Day 9, go against Kripparrian, lose to Kripparrian, move on to the finals, etc. So Kripparrian and Trump end up in the finals again. And then they would say, now by other people I mean most other people, they would say that Trump would take it in a pretty close set. But I think Kripparrian's going to take it in a pretty close set. And I mentioned before that I got like a wild card. I would say the one person that could just bust out and surprise everyone would be Day 9. Just because he's got such extensive tournament experience with StarCraft, Magic the Gathering, stuff like that. He's probably going to be calm as a... It's not calm as a cucumber, it's cool as a cucumber while playing. And that's going to help him out immensely. He won't make any silly mistakes. He will probably think clearly about every single play, and that might help him out. So that's what I think. I don't know if my predictions are going to be any good. I don't know if they hold any water. I don't know if they are going to be accurate in any way. I could be completely wrong, because some of these guys I know very little about. I don't watch them stream or anything like that. The only people I've watched stream are Kripparrian and Trump, and then obviously Day 9 when he first streamed it. The others, I've jumped onto their streams for a minute or two here and there, and that's it. I mean, I see Artosis streaming StarCraft all the time, Husky as well, but not Hearthstone. So there you go. That's that. Now, one other little piece of information I can give you that you may not know yet is that Total Biscuit and Kevin Nock, who works for Blizzard currently, he's also a StarCraft commentator, they're going to be doing the shoutcasting of the whole thing. And I'm kind of keen to see how well they do with that, because Total Biscuit, while he is decent at the game, I don't think he's the greatest player out there, and I don't think he's the greatest analytical mind out there. He's super good at getting crowds amped and keen and excited and stuff like that, and his play-by-play shoutcasting and his shouting is perfect. It'll make it super entertaining, so I'm hoping that Mr. Catch Pajamas, Kevin Nock, is much better at the game than he, or I'm hoping that they get guest commentators on there. So maybe if Kripparrian gets knocked out, they could get him to come sit on the shoutcaster's desk with him and just add a bit of input, say a couple of words, stuff like that. That would be great. But those are the two shoutcasters that we get in, and as far as I know, they're both really good at play-by-play stuff, but I haven't seen anything from Kevin Nock for a while, so he might be really good at Hearthstone. Who knows? But that is that. That's all I've got for you guys in terms of information and predictions and everything else for the Hearthstone Innkeepers Invitational. I hope you all watch it and enjoy it. It's happening on Saturday. For those of you in the US, sometime Saturday morning. For those in EU, sometime Saturday evening. And I would say either way, it's worth watching. No matter where you are, it's going to be free. You can check it out. Watch it. After the tournament sometime, I'm going to have a sort of discussion video up talking about what happened, comparing the predictions to my own, my predictions to the actual results, and all the rest. It's going to be fun. I can't wait. Now, throughout the rest of the week, I'm also going to have a couple more videos about BlizzCon going up, about some of the other stuff I'd like to see, not Hearthstone related, so you can wait for those as well. Most importantly, though, happy waiting to see the Hearthstone Innkeepers Invitational. And happy leaving those predictions for who's going to win it yourself. Happy that.